Guys, it is Monday night. We here with the Coach Reed Live Show. I'm in here with Kerry Davis and Smoke Dixon tonight. Now, Kerry,
Yes, sir.
before we get into football tonight, every time I talk to Smoke, right, something crazy happens.
What happened?
So when he was at my house for the barbecue, it came out that he does not allow his kids to play video games. That's number one.
I don't
Right?
think that's crazy.
I
I think
think
that's good parenting.
I think that's crazy.
Eh,
Right?
Limiting electronics,
Limiting. I think
is
that's crazy.
acceptable.
But one of the most outrageous things was said to me today, and he didn't even realize he said it to me.
I know what I said.
I'm on the phone with Smoke, and he says, "I'm gonna call you back. I'm about to cut my son's hair."
Yeah.
That's crazy to me
Why?
How do you know I'm not a fool with the blade?
because you're not a barber. You're not a barber. And the crazy part about this is this guy makes plenty of money. There's no reason for him to cut his son's hair.
Hey man,
Like, take your son, it's where you live. There's 15 really good barbers within 10 miles of where you live.
I'm trying to keep the money in house.
so
Right.
Reed, maybe there's an opportunity when you are cutting your own son. So that's a bonding moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't just about the haircut. Like you want your son to be fresh and you want him to be fly. And I don't know Smoke skills. He might be that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
You surrounding opportunities that don't allow you to push your son's lining back while you cutting his hair.
No, I ain't gonna do that.
Let me.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty responsible. Now he's a hater when it comes to certain things.
You can take a walk in the park with your son. You can do that. You can go throw the ball outside. You can teach him.
He
some
might do
football.
all of that too. This
You
just
go-
an added layer of bonding when you cutting your own child's hair, bro.
Reed, you know how to cut. You know how to cut hair, Reed.
No,
No, I'm not a barber.
So don't knock me.
I know how to.
I'm actually saluting you. Like I get it. I
You know
have
what?
cut my son's hair. I used to line my own self up, every now and then. I'm like,
You used to do what?
I used to line myself up when I had her. I had braids. Reed, when you in college, you learn all types of skills.
There were no
did
barbers in
at Austin
Champaign,
Peay?
Illinois.
Huh?
There were no barbers in Champaign, Illinois.
Yeah, our barber used to cut hair in the dorm.
Yeah.
And when I seen how much he was making, I'm like, I might need to learn this skill set.
Reed, you trying to tell me you can't line yourself up and give you a quick taper?
Nah, he got listen.
Listen,
His barber come to his house, Smoke. He don't got to worry.
I already
about
know that.
Yeah.
Listen, every man should.
He paid $250 just for the. It's a convenience fee. Yeah, he good.
Listen, let me
Go
say
ahead, I'm
this.
listening, champ.
I don't know if I can because why would I? Right? Why would I risk it?
Hey man,
The hair grows back.
out of necessity, brother.
But the audience understand that both of these guys are bald because they used to line their own hair. They don't come out with it. Just so you know that. All right, let's get into it. Listen, Colorado, Kansas, right? And we always say that. We always say in football, just like boxing, styles can make fights.
Mm-hmm.
And Kansas was able to do something this season that nobody else has been able to do, which is really just run the ball, play after play, with a top-tier tailback. Very impressed with Devin Neal from Kansas. Kerry, what are your thoughts on the game and Devin Neal?
I mean, if you run the ball to the tune of 300 plus yards, it's probably going to be a long day at the office for the opposing defense. One, it eliminates or it lessens the amount of times that the opposing offense, and you know how stellar they are, how much they can have the ball when you're running the football to the manner in which they did. It wears down your defense. And like I said, it keeps that opposing offense on the sideline. Devin Neal is a young man. I watched him earlier this year. I think it was Henshaw is the other back that was with them that they were kind of 1A, 1B. And Devin Neal is taking over that role. He played outstanding Saturday. He was outstanding in that game. I thought they did an outstanding job. He not only ran the ball to the tune of 200 plus yards, he also caught the ball for 80 yards out of the backfield. So this is a young man that is using all of his skill set. I love running backs. It goes in this order: block, catch, run. If you can do all three of those things, you can play in my backfield. And I thought he did a fantastic job, but they punched Colorado in the mouth. I know Colorado can score with the best of them, but if I'm not mistaken, Kansas scored on 8 of their possessions. 7. I don't think they scored on the last one because they took a knee, but they scored on their first 7 possessions. Like, if I'm taking the ball downfield and able to score every single time offensively, our goal is to end every drive with a kick, either an extra point or a field goal, a punt if necessary, but definitely an extra point or a field goal. Kansas did that. They took it to them boys early and often, and they wasn't going to be bullied. They wasn't going to be blinded by the bright lights that Colorado had brought to the game. Like, they took care of their business, and that's a tough loss for a Colorado team that really needed to win out to put themselves in the best position going into the Big 12 championship.
Smoke, what are your thoughts on the game?
Reed, you know what? Size matters. And Colorado is not a really big team in terms of when you're talking about defensive tackles. They're somewhat undersized. They're about between 280, 290. Sometimes you need some guys in there to really fit it up. Linebackers are guys that can run and chase. They're not really downhill thumping type of guys. So I thought that over a period of time, you saw that Kansas wore down Colorado's guys up front. Scheme matters. And when I talk about scheme, they attack Colorado like no other team attacked them because they also have the ability to run with the quarterback. And when you have that zone read concept behind it and you start moving guys with motion and checks, that sometimes throw a lot of the fits off. And when you saw, like 3 or 4 games ago, when you saw K-State really got downhill and started attacking Colorado downhill, you saw that most of the time Shiloh was showing up. And whenever you have a safety showing up more often than some, they're getting to the third layer. And that's what they were doing. They were getting to the third layer of that defense. And Devin Neal, he's a running back with size, vision, instinct, tough as nails. Because when it was 3rd and 1, put the head down and got 3 or 4. When it was time to bust the big ones, he was always patient enough to set up his blocks. And then he had burst and had enough speed to carry that and score. And when he got in the red zone carry, naturally you like guys that know how to find that end zone. And that's what you saw. He started runs. He continued the runs in terms of picking up 3rd down. And he finished it when he was in the red zone, capitalizing with touchdowns.
You know, when I was coaching in high school and we ran the wing T, we did it so we could go in a different direction than all the other teams because teams had become very accustomed to run fitting against spread, right? Or playing against 10 personnel, 3-by-1, 2-by-2. Kansas and Kansas State, both of those teams in the Big 12 are different than everybody else in the Big 12. The Big 12 is known for being up-tempo, 10 personnel, RPO, a lot of passing, high-scoring games. Kansas and Kansas State, their identity is to bring you into the trenches and run the ball out of 12 personnel, out of 21 personnel, a lot of tight end looks. You see a couple of H-back, fullback looks. And so that's the thing. So when you go through the league, the key to being able to play with Kansas State and Kansas is you have to be able to shift into a different style of play. So you address that in recruiting, bringing in a couple more big bodies. You need a couple more thumpers at linebacker, and you really need some guys that are only going to play a lot and have major roles in those 2 games, right? Because what it's going to take to beat those teams is different than it takes to beat some of the wide open spread teams.
Right.
You know what I saw? I didn't mean to cut you off, Reed. What I saw on Saturday from that game, we talked about how last year the offensive line needed to be upgraded, and it's all about the trenches. I think that Kansas game showed me that defensively they got to get bigger and stronger and more stout as well. Like and you just talked about the linebacker position, the defensive line position as well. Like we often talk about, when we talk about line play, we often talk about how offensive line got to be better. No. Defensive line as well, because those guys up front, if I can run the ball to the tune of 333 yards, that lets me know that my front 7 ain't getting the job done. They're 2 of the top 3 tacklers on that team from that game were the safeties. And you just talked about it, Smoke. If I'm getting to the 3rd level and my safeties are leading the team in tackles, I know I had a good day. That's 10 to 12 yards easily. I done got past the first wave, got past the second wave. I'm at the safety level. I'm making – those are big plays. And so for me, it starts up front. That front 7 stronger, bigger, more agile, more quicker, all of those things. And it's not something that they're going to be able to fix right now, but it is something that they do have to correct, because if you have aspirations of playing in the college football playoff, you're going to play more teams that have that kind of mentality, that beat you up front, athletic, physical offensive line going against that D-line. So for me, that was my biggest takeaway. Watching that, as an interior defensive lineman, the level of pride that you should have that somebody is running down your throat should make you sick when you watch film. And I didn't see enough of that on Saturday from Colorado.
One thing I love to say this, and a lot of guys, when I said this on Twitter before, guys have fought with me. I always have believed that the back makes the line doesn't make the back. And Devin Neal was able to play really, really special for Kansas. He was able to find open grass and zone. He got up in there in the gap schemes. Like you said earlier, Smoke, Jalen Daniels being a dual threat also with zone read and power read stuff made him even more efficient. And he ran with toughness and passion, and he ran with a will to win. I think a lot of his yards were he just wanted it. He came in the game feeling like he had something to prove.
I was going to say that goal line touchdown that he scored, I think it was the safety, man on man. Silman Craig, it's me versus you. It's nobody there. It's me and you. And Neal wanted that touchdown more than they wanted to make that tackle in that moment.
The last 3 weeks, Neal has shown everybody in America that he's running with a purpose. And you have to put him in that conversation of the top backs in this year's draft.
Yeah, going to be a definitely outstanding pick for a team in the National Football League. Kerry, so let's move along. Is Indiana still the playoff team?
Yeah, they are. And I know Smoke put his head down, but based on the numbers, now you put your head down. It's okay. Anytime we talk Big Ten, you get a little flustered and hot under the collar. It's okay. We can talk about the Big Ten with having a real conversation. And I will tell you why they are still a Big Ten team, because the SEC stunk it up this weekend. There's a few teams that laid an egg. Now, if Alabama wins, if who else lost? Who am I thinking of? Who else lost this weekend? Ole Miss wins. Texas A&M wins. Like Indiana may not be in that conversation, but you get those three teams to lose. Yeah, Indiana is still in the conversation. They might be 11, they might be 12, but they still at the door. They're still inside of the door. They ain't been kicked out yet. You lost to a team that is the number 2 team in the country at Ohio State. The first half, for me, I was okay. And then you saw the difference in talent. You saw the separation of talent in the second half. You talked about it, Smoke, in our group thread. You talked about Caleb Downs. What did he do? You talked about him before the game. What did he do? Take one to the crib on a punt. Like the talent started separating itself as that game went along. And I think that's what you saw for Indiana on Saturday. Are they still a playoff team? Yes, but mainly because the teams behind them just stepped in it this weekend.
Kerry, you know what? I think Indiana's a lock.
Yeah.
If they go 11-1, there's no way that you can keep them out, regardless of strength of schedule. The only loss was to Ohio State. When you saw, it was a battle of attrition.
Yeah.
The first half, they fought and fought and fought. Second half, size matters, players matters, and you saw just a separation and gap in terms of talent pool.
Yeah.
Ohio State's really good players started making plays. The receivers got with it. The running backs got to it. The defensive line said, hey, you know what? Let's stop messing around with these guys and get to them. And then our guy, Will Howard, made a couple of throws.
You know, it's crazy. Brian Hartline, wide receiver coach at Ohio State, good friend of mine, he said, what happened was expected to happen. Does anybody watch tape anymore? So I want to throw to you, does it give you an advantage as an analyst that you actually know what you're looking at when you're watching tape?
Absolutely. It makes it, and that's why when we came on last week, and I know we all said it, Ohio State's going to beat Indiana. And I don't think it's going to be close. Just because you got to understand, a lot of Kirk Cignetti's players, that he took a lot of them from JMU, and they have fought and they've played well. They're disciplined. They're a well-coached team. But at the end of the day, football and every other sport, the better players that are coached well typically wins. And when the horses start running, you start running out of gas, Big is always big when it gets tired. Fast is still fast when it gets tired. Strong is still strong when it gets tired. And that's what Ohio State showed you. They had more, and they beat you by 23 points. Had it off to them, they did what they were supposed to do.
Bill Parcells called it the planet theory. He said big people beat up little people.
Period.
That's the bottom line.
So now going into the SEC, right, we had some upsets.
Mm-hmm.
Smoke, I'm going to start with Alabama and Oklahoma. Were you expecting Oklahoma to come out and play Bama the way they did?
On defense, I did. Because if you watch Oklahoma all year, their defense is funky. Brett Venables, Todd Bates, they've done an outstanding job of playing defense. It's just their offense that hasn't been good. And Reed, we said it earlier, they weren't aligned on offense. So you know what they came out and did? They did nothing that we figured out Oklahoma wanted to do in any game. We thought they were going to beat teams by what? Throwing the football. They said the hell with that. We're going to line up. We're going to run the ball right down your throat, quarterback run, zone read, quarterback power, quarterback counter, quarterback sweep all day long. And Bama had zero answers in terms of stopping quarterback run. Now, you thought that they would just because Bama has a lot of that in their game, but they didn't. And Oklahoma came out, was more physical, more determined, more prepared. They outplayed them, outcoached them. And you thought that Bama would have more desire to want to win that game, knowing that they have the playoffs in their lines of making it to it. And Oklahoma came out with nothing other than if we win one more, we'll go bowling. And on the road, you got to show it better than that. And your quarterback play wasn't good enough, nor did you help them enough to give enough ammunition to play.
You know, Brent Venables also is a guy that from his time at Clemson has had a lot of success against Alabama in the past. So even though it's a different coaching staff, like Brent Venables is really a big game coach. He's played in tons of these games. He's played in 7 national championship games as a defensive coordinator. So, you know, he ain't no stranger to danger, Smoke.
No.
Now, Kerry, you over there, when I feel like every time an SEC team loses, Kerry smiles a little bit.
It breaks my heart every time I see it happen.
And he smiles a little bit. What's your take on Alabama right now, Kerry?
My take is Alabama was the big bad wolf for I don't know how long, a decade.
They're weak.
No. I'm talking prior to this season. I'm not talking about this year.
That's a hating. Hold on.
No. I'm not. That's not. Listen. Let me finish.
You can't start off by saying big bad wolf. Like just say they're the best team for the last 20 years. But now go to
hey, 15, whatever number you want to give. I don't want to give them 20. Give them 15. But what I'm saying to you is, they were the bully. They were Debo. You come around, you tuck mine in. I'm gonna tuck mine in. You walk around with your chain out now around Alabama.
You should.
There is nothing that to me, and so we talk a lot about the SEC and the Big Ten, right? And I know y'all are homers for the SEC. I know y'all love that play. Here's my thought on this. Because I thought about this. I told y'all I was gonna save this until Monday. When we talk about the SEC, we're really talking about Alabama. Like we're really talking about.
Georgia ain't win back.
Let me finish. Let me finish. We really talking about Alabama because in that time, I mean, you had your Clemsons, you had your Ohio States, you had Michigan, you had Georgia, you had LSU, but the consistent team was Alabama. So when y'all talk about the SEC, you're not talking about the SEC. You're talking about Alabama. Like that's because if Nick Saban were coaching for Michigan, Ohio State,
he did.
I don't know, one of those, Iowa, and he had the success. It's about Nick Saban. It's about Alabama. It's not necessarily the SEC.
Hold on, Smoke. Let me go.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Because when y'all hold on, Reed, and I'm gonna give you. Hold on, I'm gonna give you one, Reed. I'm gonna give you one. This is why I say that. Reed, who won when we were in high school? What conference was the best conference in the state?
In the country?
When we were in high school, huh?
I mean, Nebraska. What was Nebraska in the big?
When we were high school. When
High
we
school.
were in
Oh.
high school,
So the Suburban North.
Suburban North.
Yeah.
How many times did the Suburban North win state 5A, the largest state, the largest conference in the state when we were in high school?
3 times.
How many times do you think it should have been? Because I think it should have been 4, but the best player for Pattonville tore his ACL.
Yeah, it should have been 4.
So undoubtedly, it was the best conference because we had 4 teams that 3 of them won because it was a lot, right?
It was tough.
Week in and week out. Now let me ask y'all this. Is it that if one team is dominating, is the conference really that tough? Or is it just one damn team so much better than everybody else? And y'all hit y'all wagon to the one damn team that is beating the brakes off of everybody and say,
Go ahead,
"We're
Reed.
the toughest conference in the world."
Go
You
ahead.
know,
Reed.
it's
We got the toughest team in the world that happens to be in that conference. And that's all I'm trying to get y'all to understand.
Kerry, you know it's
If
so
it was
crazy.
a tough conference, how y'all speak about, then multiple teams every year would be winning it. But Clemson won, Ohio State won, Michigan won, Georgia won, and LSU won. But other teams won. But the consistent team
Hold on.
was who?
Kerry,
Alabama. And who else?
Kerry, I'm finna tell you if you let
I'm
it.
gonna leave it at
You
that.
know what's so crazy? Listening to you talk makes me feel like instead of this being Carl, Kerry, and Smoke, I'm Scarface, you Willie D, and Smokers Bushwick Bill. I think my mind is playing tricks on me. My mind is
Jamaican?
playing,
Is that what I'm Jamaican?
Yeah,
'Cause I'm-
Why you get to be Scarface? Why you can't be Willie D or Bushwick?
Hey, listen,
Because he got glasses on.
my mind is playing tricks on me, man. You know, when you talk about the SEC, right? Of course, Alabama was the dominant team.
That's all.
But
It is.
during that same stretch, though, Kerry, Georgia won it twice. LSU won it twice.
Once.
LSU won twice.
From what
Oberon,
year are we
Nick.
talking about? How far we go
Oberon,
back?
Nick.
You just said the last 20 years.
I said the last 15, but go
Okay,
ahead. Go
last
on.
15. LSU won it twice.
Okay.
Florida
Ohio State won it twice,
Urban Meyer won it at Florida
and Urban Meyer won it at Ohio State.
because
So it's about the coach and it ain't about the
Kerry, let the man go. Let the man go.
Smoke. He just proved my point.
No, he didn't. He's trying to make a point.
He just proved my point.
Kerry, Nick
Urban Meyer left Florida and still won at Ohio State because it ain't about the program.
Hold on, matter of fact,
the SEC.
Urban won it
about the
twice at
coach.
Florida. He won 2 championships at Florida.
It's about the coach and it's about the team.
So is Les
It ain't
Miles?
about the
So Les
entire
Miles
conference.
and Les Miles and Ed Orgeron, their elite coaches.
Is Les Miles and Ed Orgeron?
Auburn won it also.
Ed Orgeron had 3 freaking first players on his offense.
Here we
4.
go. Here we go.
4.
Hey, Kerry, I think the point that you're trying to make is that the SEC is top heavy because
As the Big Ten is.
Yeah, because Georgia's won 2 national championships back to back. LSU won 1 with Nick, 1 with Les, 1 with Ed. That's 3, isn't it?
Yep, that's 3.
Okay, that's 3. And Kirby won. Hold on, Kirby won 2, and he's been in 3. So if you're telling me that that's not the best conference, the only other team that entered the national championship conversation, Clemson won twice over Alabama, and then Ohio State won it once. So your Big Ten won it once, ACC won it twice. Every other year has been SEC, and there have been 3 teams.
Big Ten won it twice.
When?
Big Ten won last year.
There you go. I apologize. Michigan won it. Yeah. So that's 2, right? To how many? 3 for LSU. You count. 2 for Georgia. That's 5.
You going back to 2004?
Damn, bro.
I'm asking.
What do you want me to stop?
Years.
Where do you want me to stop? Tell me.
I'm asking what year are we going back to?
You tell me. Whatever year you want to stop, I'll
20
stop.
years. Y'all said 20 years.
So 20. So 2004 then it starts because it's 2024.
Right.
So
the
LSU
2004
won it twice
national.
since 2024.
I'm only doing the math because you want me to.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. LSU won it twice since 2024.
3 times.
No, they won in 03. That's 2 times since 2024.
All right, we'll take that.
But that's semantics. That's fine. That's fine.
So all we're saying, you said it was
Go ahead.
you're saying Alabama outright wanted no.
I'm
They
saying
won.
Alabama was the main team.
Alabama wanted the most. Yes.
Alabama was the big bad bully. But if Nick Saban was coaching at Michigan or Ohio State,
He coached at Michigan State.
He coached at Michigan State. And
Yeah,
he did that. And he coached at LSU and he won
against
there too.
he's a damn good coach, Smoke.
Urban Meyer coached at Florida and he won there. And he won Ohio. Kerry, just give it up.
You got it.
Stop.
You got it.
SEC is a better conference than the Big Ten. It's been that way for 20 years. It's okay. If it's this year that you're saying, argue.
I ain't talking. I'm just telling y'all, talent-wise, it's talent on both sides.
It's talent for sure, but SEC got a little bit more.
Okay.
The draft will tell you that too.
You don't agree with that?
I don't disagree with y'all.
No. Do you agree with it?
I don't disagree. But I can tell you, we can do this all day. We're gonna get into some numbers.
I'm gonna move us around. The only thing for the people that's watching the show, right? You go on social media and there's certain guys you listen to before you put your parlays in, right? Don't listen to Kerry before you put your parlay.
No,
because I want to listen to me.
Because he's gonna make you lose your money because
he might want to listen to me.
Now, Kerry, I asked you one simple question. I said, do the math for me. You said the Big Ten. You said the Big Ten.
I said that. But what I'm telling you is, it's top heavy because of Bama. Like LSU had a great team. Ed Orgeron and that LSU team in was it 2019 was outstanding. They were outstanding.
Yeah.
Georgia, when they had all of the defensive players that got drafted in the first round, outstanding. Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean and the kid
back-to-back championship.
The kid that went to Minnesota, the safety, I can't remember his name. Like they had a bunch of talent, bro. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not disagreeing with that.
Okay,
I'm not disagreeing with that at all. It's talent.
So why even bringing up the argument? It's a.
The big bad bully in that league was Alabama.
I made a tweet the other day when I said hating is a disease.
He got
it. Me and Smoke both inflicted with it for different reasons.
No, I tell the truth, my brother.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Let's stay on this for a minute. Smoke, how many teams should the SEC get in the playoffs right now?
I think 4.
What are the 4 teams?
I was going to say Georgia right now, Texas right now, Tennessee.
You can't find a 4th one. It's 3.
Ooh.
That ain't hating.
You might be right.
That's not hating. That's
the truth.
It's 4 for the Big Ten right now.
Who's the 4, Kerry, from the Big Ten?
Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, and Indiana.
Okay. So we're going to stay on the Big Ten for a second because this is the week where the Big Ten has center stage. Ohio State and Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Is Michigan has dominated the last 3 games, but they're not the same team that they were. Does Michigan have a chance at all against Ohio State here?
I don't think so. I think this is the game. You know, Ryan Day has been in Michigan Ohio State game. They say they don't care, and I'm part of me feel like they don't. If you win that Ohio State Michigan game, all is forgiven. Ryan Day has had some really good teams, man, some really good teams over the years, but they have lost to that Michigan team. This is their first opportunity where they come in, they're ranked higher. They are a better team on all sides. In all fact, Michigan stinks.
Care, come on.
Y'all not watched Michigan?
You can't. They don't stink. They're not as good as they were last year, but they don't stink.
Smoke. They can't throw the football in 2024.
They're going to be able to throw it next year. We'll get to that.
You'll get to that.
They can't throw the ball.
It's Michigan football. You know what they do.
No, that's not Michigan football. That's Michigan football from like the 70s. That's what we Smoke. If you
Kerry, they don't stink.
Smoke. I'm gonna say this with all due respect. If you took them out of maize and blue and put them in black and gold, you would think it was Iowa. That's what I think.
Iowa does not stink. Iowa 7.
They are not offensively. They cannot get anything going because they are one-dimensional.
What's Illinois' record?
8-3.
8-3. So if Illinois is 7-4, do they stink?
Nah, that's a good season for Illinois, but we're talking about two different things. We got 4 in our history, 10-win seasons. I was on one of the teams. We got 5 9-win seasons.
Read that at the bottom of your screen.
We ain't talking about Illinois or
read that at the bottom of your screen. Appreciate the Ms. Bryant. You might relate to Paul Bryant. Read that at the bottom of your screen. Go ahead.
What she say?
Take Alabama and Georgia out of the SEC and take Ohio State and Michigan out of the Big Ten. The SEC will still dominate.
Y'all don't have a national championship coming out of anybody else other than those two teams. We just gave you one.
Kerry, it's all right, man.
It's okay.
It just means more.
This is a sickness here.
It's
But you know what? I'm smart enough and I'm wise enough to know that arguing with certain people after a certain point in time is only stressing me. We can get back to the Ohio State-Michigan game. Michigan is not a good football team this year. They don't do anything particularly well on offense. They are one-dimensional. They run the ball well if they can get a lead. If you force them to be down and they have to pass the ball, they are going to struggle. They are one of the team. They've started 3 separate quarterbacks this year, which lets me know and should let anybody else know that they struggle in the passing game.
Help's coming.
Huh? That's fine. Good. I'm happy. I'm glad that they got him. That's just outstanding. That's why he coming. He looked at that offense and said, day one, I'm walking in. I'm good. That's why.
No. 10.5 is why.
10.5, and I looked at the roster and I said, "Oh yeah, I'm good."
There's no reasonable man that walks away from $10 million
with the opportunity to double that. He's at home, Reed. He's at home.
Think about this though. Let's transition into the Bryce Underwood situation. We all graduated from high school in 1999. It seems like a long time ago. Remember how recruiting was then when we played, and even as we coached. Relationships, coaches coming to your school over and over, going to your parents' house for the in-home visits. Recruiting has changed, man. The relationships are just not more important than the money. Smoke, I'm gonna start with you. Is this good or bad for college football?
Reed, it's fair. I won't say good or bad. I think it's fair because that's how the business is going, and it's becoming a business. And I think a lot more coaches can stay at home and just work out the business and get the player, because that's what it is. Because as a coach, you can spend so much time on the road, beating up the road, manufacturing some of those relationships. And at the end of the day, Carl Reed comes in and dropped $5.2 million, and all I have is $100,000, and I can't do nothing with it. And that's just where the business is going. And even with those relationships, even when you get the young man to your school and he's playing there for 2 years and he's playing well, there's a good chance that somebody might come and poach him. So where is the relationship going? You're just wasting your time. Get the deal done, develop the player, keep on getting them better, make sure that your pocketbook and your checkbook are cleared so you can write more checks, because you're going to have to do that at the end of the day.
Kerry, when you were coming out of high school, would you have went to the highest bidder, or would you have went to the person who was building a relationship with you?
So I would have went to the place where I could play and who was going to pay. Like I relationship wise, we cool. We cool. But what we talking about? Am I gonna get this bread, and am I gonna get to play? That's to me what matters most. Like we can still have a relationship if I don't go to your school. I can still be cordial, be friendly, speak. We can be, we can still be acquaintances and friends and whatever that is. But I think what has shifted now is this is truly a business. It is no longer, you work for free and you get your school paid for. Now you get your school paid for and you're getting a piece of the pie. So for me, it's about financially setting yourself up to take care of your life. And when you get done playing, everybody that plays college football does not make it to the NFL. Now there's an expectation. If I'm paying you $10.5 million, that you're going to be the next first round draft pick to come up out of this school, but it's not guaranteed, but that's the expectation. And it's your job to set that player up to have the most success possible. So for me, I'm taking the pay and I'm taking the play.
As guys are going into the portal, what I'm seeing a lot of when I look on social media, I'm seeing a lot of players put their agent as the person for schools to contact, and that's different. What worries me for players, for college players that are transferring schools or going into recruiting that are letting their agent deal with that part of the game for them. The agent has a place because you need an agent when you're starting to talk about the money. But 90% of the agents, even at the highest level in the NFL, don't know football, right? So who's helping you make a decision that's good for your football career in terms of what scheme you fit in? Do you need to be in the odd front or the even front? Are you a man corner, a zone corner? Do you need to play in a zone scheme, a gap scheme as an offensive lineman, as a running back? Like who's helping you make those decisions? And I see so many guys now leaning on the agent because they're trying to extract the maximum amount of money, right? And 10% of the guys make 90% of the money anyway, right? In a lot of cases, the guys that are going into the portal would still be better served depending on their high school coaches to help them find a better football fit than they would, leaning on the agent. Smoke, you agree or disagree?
You know what, Reed? I agree that you should remove your agent out of it until you get to the table where we're talking about financial gains. Because there's two reasons, and I'm going to say it again. Unless you have a home to get to, don't get into the portal. So the conversation should have already been had already. Then you put your business out there and say, I'm getting into the portal. I think if you enter the portal without having a home to get to or settle in, you're losing it. Because now most agents aren't going to be able to drive up your market anyway because they don't know the real players in the game. You and I both know that. Mm-hmm. But if you are a player that your market is already up through your play and your production, you already know where you're going. You should have your 1, 2, or 3 schools that you say, hey, listen, now you give the information to your agent. Say, these are the coaches or these are the collective that you should be contacting because these are the schools that I'm interested in. Because like you said, it's hustling backwards if your agent is now making those phone calls or deciding where you should go, other than setting up the contract for you and making sure that you get paid the proper way. That's the only place for an agent.
I think the other thing to keep in mind, if you are in a position to decide what school is going to pay you the most, it's your job to know where you can go play and have success. Like if your only aspiration or your only goal is to get $4 million in NIL money or $300,000 in NIL money, and your ultimate goal is to not play in the NFL, because clearly if you are that sought after, there's an expectation that you can play at the next level. That needs to be your ultimate goal and your mindset. Where can I go play, have the most success that puts me in a position to go make $50 million, to go sign a contract for 4 for 40, for 6 for 120. Like that needs to be the mindset, as opposed to I'm gonna go chase this $2 million because school X is offering it. But it's the worst position I can put myself in, and I'm not going to have. They don't run the same style of offense that I like, or that I'm accustomed to, or they don't run the same defense that I'm accustomed to. You're putting yourself at a disservice by doing it, and it's your job. When I was coming out of high school, Reed noticed I had a couple of schools to choose from. One of them ran the option, and I said, I ain't never seen an NFL team run the option. I'm not going there. I don't see the option on Sundays. I'm going to go to Illinois where they run a pro-style offense, West Coast offense. I see the San Francisco 49ers running this offense. I know the terminology. That's where I'm going to school at, because that's what I am built for. So it's on you to make sure you go to the place that best fits what you do offensively, defensively, or special teams.
It's crazy. The people that you turn down on that option, they still would like to see you outside with some brass knuckles. You let your entire state down. When you made that decision, you could have been a true son, but you opted not to be.
Yeah, I made the best decision of my life, man, going across that water.
You could have been a B-back. Jerome Bettis made the Hall of Fame, had a pretty good career.
Looking back on it, I probably should have went and ran that football.
Yeah, it would have changed it. But here's the question I have for both of y'all, because I went FCS, y'all both went big time. You went to play in the SEC at Bama, Smoke Carey. You went to Illinois, and you won the Big Ten during your time at Illinois. How many players are self-aware enough, though, to make that decision and really evaluate themselves properly? Like, they do need help, because if you ask everybody that sends me tape, I get on average 1,500 DMs a week from people who want me to watch the tape, right? Out of those 1,500 DMs a week, maybe 6 kids are good enough to play in the SEC or the Big Ten. When you really sit down and go through it all, and when you start talking about Division II and FCS and Group of Five, a lot of people get really, really offended by that because they don't really understand how to evaluate. So the player does have to have some help from somebody, because they're not self-aware enough to say, you know what, I'm a better fit over here than over there. Their parents don't know. Their parents didn't play college football. They don't know. So I think what Kerry was able to do, Smoke, when we were kids, I think that's just a very rare thought process, because I haven't seen anybody have that kind of thought process since then. And I've coached a lot of great players.
Reed, this is where you lean on the people to help you get to the place that you're at right now. That's your high school coach. If you had a football mentor, if you got a guy like Carl Reed on the side, if you can afford Smoke Dixon to hit me up and ask me, where should I go? I give you that honest opinion, but I don't come cheap. You see what I'm saying? So if you're going to pay your agent 20%, you might need to allocate some of your funds to somebody that can specifically place you at the right school with the right people to help you get that, what you just said, Kerry, the 3, the 4, the 5, the $10 million bag that you want in order to play in the NFL. Because Reed, you and I both know it. It's where you play and how you play where you're at that really gets you where you need to go. Because a lot of people say, you know what, I want to go play at the highest level and go play at Ohio State. Well, you're not good enough for it right now. But in 2 years, you might be. But those are the conversations that you need to hear. You might have a coach that you say, you know what, I just got off the phone with Coach Wilson that needs 2 running backs and need a real fullback because he's a last of the dying breed that really use a fullback. And son, you think that you're running back, but at the end of the day, the only way that you're going to make it into the NFL is to play fullback. So I'm going to send you down to Coach Wilson. Now, that took a lot of your time, but you just made the proper decision for that young man to go play, because he can go to Illinois and sit on the bench because they really want him to play linebacker, but they lied to him and told him that he's going to play running back.
And then they try to switch. Smoke, when you also looking at those situations, when you're talking about recruiting, every high school coach doesn't know college coach. Like Donald just said, that every high school coach is not tight with college coaches, right? They don't have connections. Everybody doesn't know. So it can get really, really tricky for high school kids trying to figure out what to do, for college kids trying to figure out, and it becomes a super duper emotionally based situation. And you're trying to consistently guide guys out of emotion. But one thing I want to say, I think that both of you guys played in the NFL, so it's going to be in your conversation a lot. I think in some regards, we talk about the NFL too much, because most of these kids aren't going to the NFL. I had a situation where I had a player who he had an opportunity to play in the Ivy League, and then he had an opportunity to play in a Group of Five conference. And when I sat him down, I really pushed him to go to the Ivy League because it was going to be a life changer for him financially. He wasn't going to go in the NFL, whether he went there or whether he went into this Group of Five conference. I'm not going to say the conference because then people are going to say, Reed said don't go play there, and I didn't say that, right? But I said, if you go to this school, you're going to end up being a manager at Foot Locker. And there's nothing wrong with being a manager at Foot Locker.
Man,
there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I'm not no shade to the Foot Locker managers, right? But you're gonna go to this situation and their alumni list, they starting salaries are anywhere, they 120 on the low end to, some guys were making 250, 300,000 coming right out of college. We have to also talk about the most likely event that you're not going to the league and what that's going to mean for your life after college as well.
Right.
Yeah, I think the most important part is, and I tell kids this all the time, is you get to go to school for free. If you're fortunate enough to make NIL money and add to your pockets, football is the vehicle that has driven me everywhere I've gone in life. The most important stop that I had was at the University of Illinois because I got an education and a degree for free. And it allowed me to do all of these other things. And I got back in the car and got back on the plane because of football and went all these other different places. But it started with that opportunity to go to school. And so I think that has to you got to keep the main thing the main thing. If you are good enough to be able to be sought after and you have multiple schools wanting to offer you X amount of dollars, that's when you need to know, well, where am I going? Or what's the best opportunity for me? But we've talked about this for weeks in the past, just being aware of who you are. There are so many people that don't want to have real conversations about who they are, what they are, and what it look. And for any young person that might be, everybody's not hating on you when they tell you, son, I don't know that you can play at that level. Like, I think you would be better suited to play here. But here's the thing. If you go be a star at this level, you can get to the place you really want to get to. But if you can't be a star at that level, why do you think you can be a star at the other level? Like you have to be. And another thing, we do talk a lot about the NFL because every kid that you meet say, I want to play in the NFL. I want to play in the NFL. Okay. And my son is 12. I want to play in the NFL. I tell him, dude, you don't work hard enough.
Yeah, he got a chance though, Kerry.
Yeah, if he work harder.
No, if you play in the NFL, you got a chance. You can play in the
He
NFL.
do. He got a chance.
Yeah,
as do anybody listening. Yeah. But if you don't work hard, you don't got no chance.
No. Stop that. Stop. Your son has a chance just because of pedigree.
I agree.
You are.
But
not everyone that's listening to this has a realistic shot.
And what I'm
1% to get in there. Your son has a better chance.
If it don't matter what the pedigree is, if you don't work hard, you might get there on talent alone, maybe. But you ain't gonna
everybody playing the NFL work hard.
No,
you ain't gonna stay. You're not gonna stay there.
Hell, Reed, no,
they don't.
No,
but you're not going to stay there. It's not sustainable.
They stay there and they still don't play hard. They just talented. Some guys are talented as heck.
You done seen plenty of people that done been there and then got that and done worked or not worked their way right out the door.
So you're telling one guy's telling his son that he's not gonna play in the league. The other guy on here is cutting his son's hair. It's just crazy. It's just banana. It's just banana.
My son, if he wants to play in the league, he got to work hard.
Great advice, but he got a realistic shot.
Smoke, this is a good question for you right
Shoot
here.
it.
Would you take a high school kid who you evaluated to be a future pro over a transfer kid? Everybody can't evaluate or project.
Absolutely. Because at the minimum, I can have that young man for 4 years, and I can train him the way that I want to. That transfer portal kid that's coming in, I don't know what baggage that young man has, and I got to deal with that when he gets there. And he's getting there at 19 and 20 years old. And it's tough to now train that young person to the culture that you want once they've been somewhere before. So, yes, I would take a high school kid over a transfer portal kid every day of the week if they evaluated the same and I projected them the same.
But you're not going to have him for 4 years, Smoke. He's going to leave. You're going to run out of money.
No. Reed, this is what you're saying. They asked me the question, I'm answering it myself. I'm going to keep him because this is what I do. You're going to lose him because that's what you do. So Reed, let me explain something to you real quick. And let me break down this whole thing for people that's losing players. You don't lose players because somebody else is paying them the most money every single time. If you are doing the job of projecting what that player is worth on a year to year, you can keep that player in-house and he will give you a discount just because you've respected and developed his skill set. Now, that one offset selfish player that wants to leave, it's going to be that way. But here goes the scenario, Reed. Say I get a kid and he's a 3-star, right? Year 1, you redshirt because you ain't good enough and you're not ready to play yet. And you play year 2. right? That's your redshirt freshman year. And you're a running back. 7 games into the season, you have 1,000 yards. And I wasn't giving you NIL before. Guess what I'm doing? I'm finding out what the highest paid running back is getting. And I'm going to either match that or come really, really close to it and making sure that you stay in-house. You see what I'm saying? So I'm getting ahead of this. And I'm going to give you some more money on the back end of it to make sure I keep you.
And you got to, because once the kid get to 500 yards, I'm already calling you and texting you, telling you my guy got to get paid.
There you go. But Reed, we already got this situated from the spring, because I'm gonna say, Reed, from what I saw from all season program to spring, he's the one. Come see me.
I'm gonna tell you what, the college coaches better be lucky that I was not still coaching high school when they started NIL. They did not. Hey, they better be lucky that I was not coaching high school, because I'd have my players price tags right.
Which is fine. But that's fair. That's fair market, fair business. As long as you don't start shopping him before we have the conversation, then that's bad business on your part.
Yeah, that's of course.
But I'm gonna take. But I'm fair, and I'm gonna take care of you, because that's how you keep them. You don't allow that 700-yard running back to get there and say, "Well, I don't. Let's wait till after the season." The season's already over for you, because Reed already got him out the door. I'm gonna take care of you. Soon as spring roll around, Reed, I'm gonna say, "Come see me," and you pull up the spring, and we discuss that and get it done. 700 yards, you might change it.
One of my players that played for me in high school, he hit me today, and he's gonna be he should make the all-conference team where he's at. And he said, "Coach, they want me to stay. This is what they're gonna pay me. Is this a good number?" I said, "Yeah, I think the number's fair, and you starting, and you got a chance to move on." The business was done actually today, and they didn't even give anybody else an opportunity to come in and try to take the kid.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Nobody, that's bad negotiation. If it gets to where it's a portal and you're now fighting to keep that young man, you've lost already, because you disrespected him for not respecting his skill set while he was there working for you. Somebody out on the outside had to come see him to tell you how much he's worth. Bad business.
Transfer portal conversations, because we're starting to see a bunch of kids going. Matt Rule said he expects 30 to 50 guys from Nebraska to go into the portal. I want to know where all of those guys are going to end up. Like, they're not going to have 30 or 50 guys. Like, some of those guys should stay. He said he wants everybody to stay. Some of those guys should go in there and meet with him, and they should stay, and they should get their degree. But when guys are calling you saying they want to go on the portal, Kerry, what's your thing you saying? What's the first thing you say to them?
So my first question is, why? What's going on? Like, what's the purpose? Are you not happy with your situation where you are? Are you running from something? Are you mad because you're not getting playing time? Did you do enough work to even earn said playing time? Okay, now we answered all of that. Are you searching for more money? Do you feel like what is the purpose of entering the transfer portal? It can't just because I ain't playing here. Okay, cool. Where you want to go? Do you know? Have you had any interaction or any conversations? Has anybody reached out to you? Have you talked to anybody? Because what's going to happen is you're going to get in this portal and you're going to be sitting there. You're going to be a nameless face just waiting on somebody to call you, and they ain't.
You don't even have a number.
You don't even they so we've talked about this before, having a plan, but why do you want to leave? Is it competition? Are you in line to potentially work to be a starter? All of those questions have to be answered before a player decides, before you say, all right, yeah, let's do it.
But you know what, Kerry? If that player called you and said, I'm getting into the portal, he's already checked out.
He's made his mind up. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But again, if you're telling me you want to get into the portal for playing time, well, why? And you want to go, you're trying to go to the same level. If you ain't playing there, what make you think you're gonna play elsewhere?
That's the thing. That's the thing. A lot of them don't have the self-awareness to know they got to go down a level. If they want to play more, they're gonna have to do that.
If it's really about playing, and you're not playing at this Power 4 school, why do you think you're gonna go to another Power 4 school and automatically start playing?
Kerry, you know what? When I hear people call or ask me about the portal and say, you know what, Smoke, I think I want to jump in the portal. I treat it just like when we were playing and you hear guys talk about retiring. Once you have that mindset already of I'm getting into the portal, it's time to move on from that school because you're already checked out because you're not willing to work anymore because everything that you've done, you felt like you've done enough. And obviously, if myself, Carl, you, and one of our guys, and we try to convince him, the second that adversity hits him again, what do you think he's going to do?
Calling you again.
Same thing.
It's tough, man. And I think what a lot of guys don't realize how hard football is. Go back to your freshman camp when you went to college and how you felt in those moments where you questioned if you even really wanted to be out there. And back then, we obviously we had 2-a-days. My freshman year, I think we had 3-a-days. So it's when you think about that, and then you're not playing, right? That's what most guys check out. But it's not. I tell this all the time. It's not for everybody. Football ain't for everybody, man. It's not for everybody. A lot of guys love the recruiting process, especially now that it's been commercialized with the pictures and the photo shoots and the social media. You have to want to play football in order to be a good football player, in order to be a guy that's out there. And a lot of these guys don't really want to play football.
Reed, I'm glad you touched on, you said freshman camp. My freshman camp, I might have been fifth string. And I end up starting by game 5 or somewhere around there, my true freshman year. And I remember after this one play during our scrimmage, late night scrimmage, it was a boot. Dustin McClintock came out in the flat. I was sitting there. I broke on it. And I was in a moment of thinking, do I pick this or do I just blast him? And I froze for 1 second. He caught it for the first down. And I tackled him. And I remember Lance Thompson ran up on me and said, how can you let him do that? And everything went through my mind. The ego-driven idiot that I was at that time was like, how is this punk coach running up on me? Coach Thompson's my guy. Great coach. Why is this guy running up on me? And I just got all in my feelings. Right after that practice, I didn't take a shower, nothing. I took my pads off, and I walked straight up to Coach Dubos's office. And I said, I'm out of here. And he said, okay, cool. All right. You remember the old rotary phone? He said, why don't you call your dad? I looked at the phone, my hand hovered over it like this, Reed, and I just saw my dad's face saying, how could you quit when adversity hits? And I just don't know how many times these young people are thinking about that before they say, I'm going to do it. It's not only a disappointing thing for you, but the people that poured so much into you for what you're about to do. And I guess it's a cool thing to do right now, Reed, to just say, I'm going to leave just because of some adverse situation. But at some point, like, we got to put boot to ground and toughen this thing out.
Yeah, we grew up in a different era, though. We grew up in an era where you did what your parents told you to do. Our parents had a lot more control over us than, the kids of today. And
that's why I cut my own son's hair, and I tell him, you better like it.
Well, that's different. You know what I mean? That's a different deal.
I think Smoke, you talk about adversity. And y'all probably can attest to this. I played with future Hall of Famers, guys that are Hall of Famers. Now I play with a bunch of guys. And to a man, every man that I've asked this question to, was there a point in college where you wanted to quit? And every single one of them say yes.
Absolutely.
There is a point. And I'm talking about guys that people know, Hall of Fame guys,
Absolutely.
Guys that were all pros, all Americans in college. Like, there is a point in college football where you ask yourself, man, is this even worth it?
Yeah, for me.
Why am I doing waking up at 5 a.m., you walking across the street from the dorm room and it looked like zombies outside and it's snow and you don't feel, why am I doing this? You got these workouts, you got multiple workouts, you ain't slept, and you got to get up and go to class and be attentive. And then you got to go to practice, and then you got to go to study hall.
Fresh out the bar. You were rolling fresh out the bar.
Some nights.
Sometimes.
Listen, if I can party, if I'm a play, I got to do what I got to do.
Show me the trash can. I'm going to throw up anyway.
I got to get to it. Whatever it requires. But there is a point where you don't want to do it, where it feels like it's impossible. And that's the adversity that you're talking about. And if every time, and I think football is a microcosm of life, man. If you run from adversity every time it hits, you're gonna do that when that rent due, when your baby needs something, when your wife is on you, when your boss is telling you got to get this report done by this time, and you got all this stress. You're like, I ain't gonna do that. I ain't with it because it's easy.
They're gonna quit and come back home and hang out. Not with me though.
No, sir.
Ain't with me either.
We got you. You have to build up something in you that says I'm pushing through, even when I don't want to, even when it's hard, even when I don't see a way. I got to make a way out of no way.
Read.
Oftentimes, that's one of the things that college football it gives you and helps you with life.
Kerry, I tell people this all the time. I said, man, when I left my mom and dad's house, I said, yeah, somebody took that room. Either my mom made it into a workshop, my mom made it into something, but that room was gone, so I can go back.
My mom made mine into like a prayer room or something.
Something. It wasn't your room anymore.
It wasn't my room no more. It's, you know, and the thing is, when you talk about coaching and transfer portal, we didn't transfer because we couldn't. Like the rules were much different.
Yeah,
you had to sit out of
here.
Yeah, you had to sit out.
Transfer down.
Or you had to, and the coach had to give you permission to what schools you could go to.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a complete. So I tell older guys all the time, like, we didn't because we couldn't, right? You had to call home. You had to get permission. You couldn't just go. Now kids don't have to call. They don't. If one of my former players wants to go on the port, he doesn't really have to call me. They call me because they know that they should, but they can just go up there on their own and handle their business, you know, without dealing with that. And we play for really tough guys. I know that my coach said things to me that if I repeated them now, I mean, you can't, they don't allow that no more.
No.
You know what I mean? They don't go for that no more. And I loved him and I love what he did for me, man. And I don't hold any ill will towards him for the things he said. And to be honest with you, Smoke and Kerry, what he said needed to be said. Right? But they tell you now that if people talk to you like that, what do the kids call it now? They call it boundaries, I think.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, they say people violating your boundaries, and they tell you that you need a therapist, and that we really are. What do they say about us? We're really scarred, and we really need therapy to recover from it. But
hey, man, I believe in therapy. I go to therapy.
I'm calloused up though, bro. All my calluses made me stronger.
I'm gonna tell you what. If people had an opportunity to see the inside of y'all houses in the neighborhoods you live in, right? They would sign up for some of that that discipline too. If they knew.
Hey, Kerry, you know, I'm gonna tell you how sick my mind is, or it was before I was a player. And there were like therapists, you know, like now there are therapists that's on like practice site.
Yeah.
I told this one therapist that I was working with one time, I said, if I was playing in this era and I was playing cornerback, I would walk up and down this receiver room, this line, and tell you every single one there, I'm going to send you over to go see such and such and such, because this is what I'm going to do to you every single day. And every time I see him, I'm going to say, hey, listen, I'm going to send you go see Dr. Blank after I put it on. And in my mind, I know that's screwed up now because
but
it's not looked down upon. But in our era, if you would have told me you about to whoop me so bad or beat me in one-on-one so bad, you about to send me go, man, listen, Doc, get off the field because I don't need this right now.
Yeah, like it's a
what it is.
It definitely, and I tell people, like, for me, it's a gift and a curse. Mm-hmm. Like that mindset is a gift and a curse. The gift is it allows you to push through so many things and fight through adversity. The curse is it's hard to turn it off, baby.
Yeah.
It's hard to turn it off. It's hard to assimilate in real life. Like it's hard.
I don't got zero chance, bro.
They say same thing, make a man great, make him crazy.
Yes.
So listen, so we're about to get out of here. I want to end on one thing. I want to throw a question at both of you. Who wins the national championship, Smoke?
Oregon.
Kerry, who wins the national championship?
Oregon.
You guys both agree on a Big Ten team?
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about it, and I think Oregon and Ohio State are the two best teams in the country. And this ain't no Big Ten or SEC. This is just based on the amount of talent that both teams have. We've already saw that game, and Smoke and I was joking with him. I said, we're probably going to get Oregon and Ohio State 3 times. Like that's what, because they're going to be in the Big Ten championship. They've already played once. Oregon beat them, what was it, by 4 or 5, I think.
They need a touchdown to
4 or 5.
Yeah.
And so they already have that. They're going to play in the Big Ten championship game. That's going to be in round 2. And then you probably see them in the national championship game.
Yeah.
So
they just have less holes on their team.
Yeah.
That's all. That's it. At the end of the day, they got, both teams have quarterback play. O-line is good enough. Dynamic guys outside. Running back defense is solid.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I think they just have less holes. I don't think they're that much better than everybody, Kerry. But it's the holes that they can fill that everybody else can.
Yeah.
Texas got issues. We haven't seen Texas play against a tough team, and we did.
Georgia, and we saw what happened.
Yeah, we saw what happened.
All right,
Indiana's not good enough.
All right, before we get out of here, real quick, I want to say a couple things. If you're a barber in the greater Nashville area, right, I want you to DM Smoke Dixon at Twitter and Instagram. I want you to find him on Twitter and Instagram. I want you to DM him. He needs a barber for his son. He's cutting his son's hair himself. It is not okay. His son doesn't like it. I can tell you that right now. But his son is still too young to speak up for himself and say, Dad, this is a problem. So if you're a barber, you have a relative that's a barber, you went to high school with somebody that's a barber, anybody in the greater Nashville area that is a barber, right? I want you to hit Smoke, all right? The first 2 haircuts are on me. Okay? The first 2 are on me. So Smoke ain't even he don't even have to pay for his son. The first 2 are on me. You hit me, I'm gonna hit your cash. None of you $100 barbers though, y'all.
Oh, now
that's the problem.
None of the $100 barbers, y'all stay away. All right. But listen, get over there, take care of it. Hey, listen. Hey, this is the quote of the day. Quote of the day. Never trust a barber with a bald head. Right?
No doubt.
Listen, we're gonna end on that note, man. Thanks everybody for checking us out on Monday night. Coach Reed Live Show. For Smoke Dixon, Kerry Davis, I'm Carl Reed. We out.